Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and on Twitter at U_Capper. We got three great games today. It's actually a huge slate, but we're focusing on three games today on the Triple Double Show. But before we get into those, I do have a promo to talk about here. Dunk 200 gets $200 off the entire NBA season from Sports Memo's panel, the Triple Double panel this week. That includes both me and Matt, Moneyline Matt, who are the regulars on the show. And then we have Eric, JM Sports, and Dr. Chuck as well, who are able to use this promo code DUNK200 to get $200 off the entire NBA season from this week's Sports Memo Triple Double Show panel. I believe the $2 Tuesdays are still up as well. So head over to sportsmemo.com after the show and snatch up some deals. With that said, let's bring our panel out today. We got another triple. We had this on Friday with JM Sports. Now we got Dr. Chuck in that spot there. And then obviously we got Moneyline Matt, co-host here, and myself. Man, yesterday was 4 good games. I thought the Dogs were going to take care of business yesterday. Only one of them did, which was the Bulls. How did you guys do yesterday? Matt, start with you.
So yesterday was a solid day for me. I've been playing a lot of props. Like I was telling you guys, I had somewhat of an off week last week. Already bounced back this week, covered all that. We're 7-2 on the week, 4-0 Monday, 3-2 yesterday with also a plus 155 hit. Again, been targeting a lot of player props. I like to target situations. Ron, we talked yesterday about Kyrie Irving playing 40-plus minutes. 3 games in a row. He's going to come in tired. So I really liked his points under yesterday. And I actually did a Zach LaVine versus Kyrie Irving matchup. And I got Zach LaVine at plus 155. That hit. So again, guys, as we talk on this show, we talk a lot about spots, a lot about situations, and you got to attack them when they come up.
Yeah, that was a good look by you. I don't have that LaVine versus, that type of plays available here. But when you were mentioning it, I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. 2 things is obviously Kyrie and KD played 40-plus minutes the night before. And I know a lot of people were looking at the coaching change as a positive. I think in the long run it will be. But right now, it's the first game here. They just played the night before a tough game. So that's the reason why we were talking about the under as well on that game. And I took the Bulls. Dr. Chuck, how was your Tuesday?
Monday was not very good, and we took last night. We took last night off of premium plays and regrouped and wanted to be ready for this show and go forward. Wednesdays, like you said, it's always a really big day. Sometimes that doesn't mean you're going to find value. Sometimes you find more value in a smaller card. But we already have a couple plays out and are looking to bounce back. I had a similarly bad week as Moneyline Matt did, so I'm looking to bounce back. Both plays on Monday were losses, so we got to get some wins going this week.
Yeah, I think our show is sort of like a good luck charm for those who pop in here. So I think you're going to have a good day today. All right. So, first game up, Hawks-Knicks. I believe that, Hawks-Knicks is the first game up. Knicks are 2-point favorites here. And then the total is at 233.5. The Hawks have lost 2 in a row, playing 5th straight game on the road. We took the Raptors on Monday, right, Matt? And I think we did pretty well there. Knicks are coming off of coming home after 2-game road losses. They haven't played since Sunday, so they have some extra rest. Dr. Chuck, let's start with you. How are you looking at this game here?
Yeah, so you mentioned a couple of things that I was looking at. This is the 5th game. The Hawks started out all at home, and then now we're on a 5-game road trip. Started out well, hasn't gone as well lately. I know Matt has an angle specifically on this game. It's something that I really like too. The Hawks are 5 of 7 to the over, as is so much of the NBA. And I don't know what to make of this line. I think it's pretty solid and not a lot of places to play. I'm going to look for a lot of ways to play unders as we're going forward, because I was just trying to look and see, it's still, the overs are still hitting just general period close to 55%. And, there's lots of points, and you can find an article everywhere about what's going on, what's with all the scoring. It's almost like the opposite of what happened in the NFL the first couple months. Well, not couple months, but, those first 6 weeks, it was just under. We're getting a lot of lack on defense here. And, I trust Trey against the Knicks, especially in Madison, more in the playoffs. I think if you wanted to take a play here, I would lean towards just the Knicks winning. I don't know if I'd want to even lay anything, but I think this is a spot where the Knicks can always take out frustration on the Hawks about what they have done to them in the last several years in the playoffs. At 233.5, I just can't be on the over, even though that it's hard to bet anything with the Hawks and an under, even though this will correct going forward. I promise it will correct and probably end up more under on the season just because of what the books will have to adjust to. So if you're telling me, that there's maybe a way to attack this on like the first half, because is it a bit of a contrast in styles, but I would probably lean towards the Knicks knocking this off in a game that doesn't matter as much. And especially because it's a fifth game on the road for the Hawks here. And you're telling me the Knicks aren't even laying what would be considered a full home court advantage here. I think that kind of stinks.
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting look there. I think the talk about all the overs and all that stuff, that's going to be I think that's going to be talked about a lot in the next couple of games because of what happened yesterday. I just posted a video on Twitter about the refs calling carries a lot more moving forward. And I mean, it's just funny that it happened to be that Warriors game that showed the most of it. But we'll see if the refs consistently do that. How are you looking at this one, Matt?
Yeah, so in this matchup, kind of piggybacking on a lot of your points, the Hawks being on a 5-game road trip, both teams losing 2 in a row. But for me, actually, I'm looking at the Knicks here. I actually like the Knicks with the spread. Bojan Bogdanovic is still out for that Atlanta Hawks team. He is the heart of that second unit for the Atlanta Hawks. And for me, when you compare both teams, the starting lineups are pretty close across the board, so you have to go to the bench. And when I go to the bench here, I definitely give that nod to the New York Knicks with guys like Emmanuel Quickley, with guys like Derrick Rose. Even Isaiah Hartenstein has been playing all right off the bench. And the Knicks, on top of that, have kind of had the Atlanta Hawks number at home in the regular season. In the regular season, the Knicks are 4-1 at home against the Atlanta Hawks. So, again, they do play pretty well here. And with this Atlanta Hawks team, they've been playing a somewhat different style of basketball. If you go and look at Clint Capella, his minutes have slowly been diminishing because they like running that small ball 5 lineup with John Collins. I think we could definitely see that in this matchup. And if that does occur, I actually like the Knicks better with Julius Randle running that 5 with the small ball unit once again. Both teams are coming off multiple days rest. Julius Randle did not play that well in their last outing. RJ Barrett did not play that well in their last outing. So I think this is going to be a game that they've had on their mind. Again, multiple days rest to sit, think about it, game plan. So I really do expect Julius Randle to put his best foot forward, guys like RJ Barrett. And then with the Atlanta Hawks right now, there's so much pressure on that of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. They're really the only two performing on that Atlanta Hawks team. Yes, they're performing at an extremely high level currently, but what goes up must come down. You're not going to play that well every single game. And then when you go and look at advanced analytics on top of that, the New York Knicks actually grade out better than that of the Atlanta Hawks. Neither have had that crazy of competition, but when you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they've been definitely playing subpar teams within the NBA. So I think this is a step up for them as well. And with their Knicks with their backs against the wall at home, I'm going to go with the home team here, and I'd side with the New York Knicks with the spread.
Well, that's going to be our first, I guess, conflicting here because I'm going to be towards the Hawks here. I know, to be honest, though, the Knicks have been a tough team for me to figure out. I think this season, I didn't expect the Knicks to play with the pace that they have been. They went from 29th in the league in pace to 16th in pace so far this season. Offensively, Brunson has made a huge impact. They went from bottom 10 in the league in assist to turnover ratio to top 10 in the league with him. I think that's really been one of the biggest difference makers here is just how efficient their offense has been compared to last season. Defensively, they don't create a lot of turnovers, but they do create a lot of contesting. They do contest a lot of shots, rebound the ball well. The Hawks, they're struggling on the defensive side of the ball. Two things are important. Two things, basically, defensive rebounding is basically two things that are important to winning basketball that we don't see a lot when we watch these games because we always want to watch offense. But offensively, Trae Young came off of a game where he hit 3 or 13, just scored 14 points, had 10 turnovers. I don't think we're going to see that from him again today. I think he's going to have a really nice bounce back game. Overall, I think when two teams play a similar pace like these two teams do, I think they get really comfortable with their offenses early. Hawks are bottom 10 in defensive rating this season. I can see a lot of second chance points from the Knicks. But just Trae Young and the Hawks, I think they're going to be able to come back here, be able to put up some points in Madison Square Garden. I know you guys mentioned the fact that, the Knicks kind of own them in New York during the regular season. To me, from my perspective, two ways that I'm looking at it is actually initially was to the over. 5-1 Knicks are 5-1 to the over. Hawks are gone over in 5 straight. But that was at the open number at 228.5. Now we're seeing it at 233.5. To me, I already wrote that. I wrote this note down specifically this morning when I was capping this game. If it gets, it would be to the over unless it gets to the 230s, and it did. So to me, I would look towards the under. I think 5.5 points or 5 points steam is a little bit too much. And then on the other side, from the side perspective, I would say that the bounce back here from Trae is going to be big. I looked at how Trae did last season when he scored 15 or less points. They came back strong. The team as a whole, the Hawks as a whole, came back strong the next game, 5-2 against the spread. To me, I feel like they'll get it done here, possibly a chance to win it outright. The Knicks, obviously, they're a great team. I think this is a spot here where the Hawks have something to prove. So I would lean towards the Hawks here and towards the under at the current number of 233.5. With that said, the next game here is the Grizzlies and Blazers. Blazers are one of the big surprises to the start of the season, 5-1 so far, but they're going to be without key players, Lillard and Josh Hart. I believe Josh Hart is questionable, but from what I heard, he's likely doubtful to play. So if that holds true, that's a big piece that they're missing. He's sort of a glue guy to the squad. And on the Grizzlies side, 2 key players, Desmond Bane and Steven Adams. Game time decisions, but from what I heard, I think they're going to be playing. Matt, let's start with you on this one. How are you looking at this game here?
Yeah, so with this game, the 2 players that you brought up are very important with Desmond Bane and Steven Adams. With Steven Adams, he is that anchor to the middle, and with the Portland Trailblazers, they have Yusuf Nurkic. Nurkic is a low-key, very good big man throughout the NBA. They need a big body on him. So I do definitely want confirmation that Steven Adams is going to be playing in this game. But I definitely really like the look of the Grizzlies here. Without Damian Lillard playing, without Josh Hart potentially playing, those are 2 pretty good scores for the Portland Trailblazers. And, we have talked about the injury replacement theory very often on this show. But when you lose someone like Damian Lillard, who's one of those guys who can go and get you that bucket when the opposing team is on a run, or, he can go and get you 40 any given night. When you don't have a guy like that, and a team like the Grizzlies obviously have Ja Morant, I'm going to side with the team that has Ja Morant. The Grizzlies are also coming off a loss in their last game against the Jazz, I believe it was. And, I like that bounce back theory on top of that. This Grizzlies team plays very well together on top of everything. They're an unselfish style of basketball. And for me, I just like the Grizzlies here. I like them to get out and run against this Portland Trailblazers team. I think this Portland Trailblazers team also is due for a correction. I don't think many of us expected them to be 5-1 at this point in the season. Yes, they're solid. They have some good players, with Anthony Simmons, Jeremy Grant, like I said, Nurkic. And they still have some solid guys coming back, like Gary Payton off the bench. But at this point in time, I definitely like the Memphis Grizzlies. I would take the Memphis Grizzlies with the spread. Ja Morant is just playing at an unbelievable level right now, and he's someone you can count on every single game. So for me, once again, I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies here, and I would take the spread.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think missing Lillard obviously is already tough, but missing a glue guy like Hart makes it even worse. He's kind of like, he's one of those guys that does a lot of stuff that don't show up in the box scores, sets the screens, plays hustle plays, right? He even rebounds well at that small forward position for his size. I think the Grizz, they lost 2 straight to the Jazz, final leg of their 4-game road trip. And I think they're going to end it on a good note to me. I think they're going to have to bounce back from those two losses to the Jazz. Blazers and the Jazz have been really the big surprises of the season so far. I mean, just between the two of those guys, and then they have the Blazers also looking ahead to a tough road schedule coming up. They have six road games coming up starting Friday within a 9-game span. There's going to be a lot of travel and fatigue spots in that road trip here for the Blazers. And I think it might, I mean, to me, it might start off here with them looking ahead to it. They're going to start off with back-to-backs against the Suns. So strong look ahead spot there as well. So I would look towards the Grizzlies as well. What are your thoughts, Dr. Chuck?
Well, this is my first time doing the show this season, so I'm not 100% sure what the stats are, but absolutely 3 for 3 here. I don't even a lot of the stuff that both you and Matt said are exactly why. Specifically, like Josh Hart, who is not worth anything to the books. And so that's why we're here, to tell you what does matter, because Damian Lillard is worth something to the books. And John Morant would be worth something to the books. But even Desmond Bane and Steven Adams are unlikely. Let's say they're declared out. It's unlikely to correct here at all. And so that is the point. But I guess just without talking about any players, what we got here is what you guys mentioned. It's a home team that's 5-1. It doesn't really matter what there is other than that. They're 5-1, and they're a home team that beat this team 3 out of 4 times last season. The only time they lost was off a back-to-back where they played the night before against the Suns in a game that went to overtime, and they were able to beat the Grizzlies the other 2 times after Dame already went down. So this is a team that kind of had the Grizzlies number. The Grizzlies, who went on a long playoff run, the Blazers, who were at best mediocre last year. They're 5-1, and they're a 4.5-point dog. The situation just explodes on the SDQL, which Ron might know and he might talk about later. But the Blazers are in a 3-13 straight up spot. The last 2 times in this specific spot, based on the rest in addition, because they're on 4 days rest, which you might think is a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. And the numbers don't bear that out. The last 2 times this spot where a team had this high of a winning percentage, but had played 6 or more games, they lost by 30 in this spot at home. And I just think, sure, I want to know if Bane and Adams are playing, and sure, I want to, make sure that we're not going to be laying more than the 4.5. I don't want to expand the line just because I'm really bullish on the Grizzlies winning this, but it could also be a wire to wire easy win. This is definitely a spot where the Blazers are due for a correction. This is not a team that can sustain a 5-1 every 6 game record, even if Dame was healthy. That's just not how this works. Similar to the Jazz, the cream rises to the top, things will even out. I don't think this is all that close. And I think the books are probably a little nervous to have hung what they did. But if the books are going to beg me this hard to take a team that's 5-1, that's at home, that dominated the other team this season, then I'm gladly going to go the other way and with vigor. And this might be one of those spots where you play the first half and the full game and maybe even expand it a little bit.
Yeah, I think overall the depth, just missing Lillard and Hart are so big to this team that the depth of the team is already struggling. So with that second unit, I think they have key role players, but when you have key players missing like Lillard, that's going to be tough to replace there. I know we said like Matt mentioned that injury theory is big in our capping. How can teams replace players for that short period of time? I don't know. That to me it's just tough. I think
Can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the one last thing is, like, he mentioned injury theory, and I guess I don't know if he's meaning like acute ones that are happening like this, or like on Monday, Embiid, middle of the afternoon, announced out, big move. Yeah. Sixers still win and cover. This is different. Everyone knows Lillard's out when you wake up and when the game starts, and so you have to take that for what it is. It's not one of these, oh no, the big player, Rob Vino always talks about that. Always go against that announcement in the afternoon because it's going to be too much.
Yeah. It's like what was it called? Like buy the rumor, sell the news. And then shout out to the chat here, Mitch. I think the 4.5 is still good, because the thing is the thing to me is Bane and Adams, they're both game time decisions right now, right? So their status is still up in the air. But if we expect them to play, and then we expect Hart not to play, because Hart is also a game time decision. I think if their status gets official, right? Both of Adams and Bain plays. Hart doesn't play. I think that line still has room to move, right? Like I feel like with those three players' status up in the air, it could probably move another 1.5 if all three go the way that we think it is, which is Adams and Bain playing and Hart not playing. So at the end of the day, to me, I think there's a chance that this could even close at -6. I mean, that's just my thought process.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my thought process on that one. And then Napalm, yeah, shout out to you for coming through and being a consistent viewer here.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can continue providing wins. All right, our next game here, the last game that we're talking about, Pelicans -3 to the Lakers. Totals at 228.5. The Pelicans, man, they've looked great so far this season, and obviously the opposite can be said about the Lakers. But eventually they're gonna get a win, and they did just that. They got their first game of the win in their last one. From an injury perspective, Pelicans still without Ingram and Kara Lewis, but Herb Jones should be in. And Zion played the last game. He played a great all-around game in the last one. Lakers still without Schroeder and Thomas Bryant, but LeBron, AD, and JTA, Toscana Anderson are all game time decision. What it looks like, though, is LeBron and JTA are probable, so they should play, but AD is a true game time decision. I think his back is hurting again. Let's start with you, Matt, on this one. What are your thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, so for this game, kind of going off your points with that, Anthony Davis is questionable. The other two more so probable. Anthony Davis is a big line mover for me. I definitely want him to play because I'm definitely eyeing some player props in this matchup as well. You know, for starters, though, the Lakers won in their last outing against the Denver Nuggets. Somewhat kind of expected, if I'm being honest. You know, they're not going to lose every game in the season. They played the Nuggets tough the night before. And for this team to win, you need a big night out of LeBron James. You need a big night out of Anthony Davis. And you definitely need big nights out of guys like Lonnie Walker and Russell Westbrook. And I'm just not sure how often that's going to occur. You know, they're still an incredibly thin team. Do I think LeBron James can go out and have another big game? And am I eyeing his player props? Yes, for sure I am. But I just don't think it's going to be enough, especially if Anthony Davis is going to miss this game. You know, again, when you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they have New Orleans Pelicans. When you look at their bench, they're just much better than that of the Los Angeles Lakers and much deeper with guys like Jose Alvarado, who's an absolute pest, someone who will guard Russell Westbrook, Devontae Graham, Trey Murphy III, a great outside shooter. And someone I'm really eyeing in this matchup is Zion Williamson. I think Zion Williamson has a great matchup against LeBron James. Throughout his career, LeBron James has always played suspect D. And I think Zion Williams takes advantage of it, especially if Anthony Davis is in that game. Because what happens if Anthony Davis is in that game? Anthony Davis and Jonas Valanciunas are matched up. Jonas Valanciunas is enormous. You have to box him out. You have to keep him away from that basket. So really, if Anthony Davis is in, I don't see him getting that many rebounds. I see LeBron James getting those rebounds, and I see Zion Williamson getting those rebounds. So those are two guys that I'm definitely going to dive into their player props tonight. I think they're going to have a lot of opportunities, and I actually think they're going to have more rebound opportunities per minute as long as Anthony Davis does play. All in all, going back to the spread here, I would side with the Pelicans at the -3. I think this Lakers team is going to be a very inconsistent team throughout the season. I think this number is the way it is, partially because they won last game against that Nuggets team. And any game, it's going to be a very tall task for LeBron James, for Anthony Davis, for Lonnie Walker. You know, this team is very similar to that of the Brooklyn Nets. They have the two-headed monster. Those guys got to go out and get 35 apiece if they want to win that game. And I just don't think they can do it against the Pelicans. So again, I'm going to be eyeing some LeBron and Zion props. But if I had to go with a spread here, I'd go with the Pelicans at -3.
Yeah, I like that look a lot. I'm on the same side. Let's hear from Dr. Chuck here first.
Yeah, well, I guess let's get to some disagreement. Only if AD's playing. So yeah. You did bring up a couple points as to exactly the way that I was going to look at this. I really hope that AD is playing. I wish he was moving towards probable and it was going to be enough time to get timely plays out especially for clients to find out. But that's not really how the Lakers roll, and on the West Coast, it probably makes it a lot more difficult. But he brought up exactly we nailed a big prop over the weekend with Anthony Davis over on the rebounds against the Nuggets because that's just a team that bleeds rebounds to the bigs. And the opposite, I hope that if they do hang him, they're going to hang him at like a 9.5, something like that, because of the 13 we won with on that 8. I hope that they hang him at like a 9.5, 10.5. I'm not sure where it sits right now, if any of the props are up across the board. But yeah, I think the under on that with Valanciunas and Zion and LeBron all down there, in addition to just everybody else, like Russ is obviously someone that you have to look for on the rebounds. But I just think that let's just say I'm not shocked that this line was hung at 3.5 and 90% of the bets came in on the Pelicans and now it dropped to 3. Like, I'm not shocked because as soon as it opened, they were begging on you to take New Orleans. I don't know why, but that keeps me off of it exactly. And so maybe I would want to wait a little bit longer just to see if I'm going to get more points. But if I'm going to get more points, that's probably because AD is going to be announced out. And at that point, it doesn't really matter. Sure, the Pels would like to have Ingram, but Zion looked like he really wasn't even injured when he came back last time after everybody worried. And AD always has the ability to be injured. Like Ron said, I think it's his back hurting this time again. So he's hard to trust. If he's in the game and the Lakers are playing at what they would call full strength, similar to what they were on Sunday, I would take him with a 3 off of a home win at home. Since the bubble season, that they're winning 500% of the they're winning 50% of their games. They have a 500 record. They don't cover, but a lot of times they've been favored, and now the books are adjusting to the fact that this can't be a home favorite team, no matter who's playing. Let's be serious. If Anthony Davis was just a full go, not even probable today, I don't know if this line would be a whole lot different because they have to go under the assumption that he's playing. And so they're doing an awful lot of begging. And I think the Lakers, if I had to pick, I would probably just say, why not take the Lakers on the money line if I was going to make a play on it and I want to know who's starting, get starting lineups, and we'll see where we go from there. But I would also like, once Anthony Davis is named in, maybe take the under on rebounds there.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I think one thing that I was just looking at while you were speaking about Anthony Davis is how well he does against his former team. I think there's a lot of narrative there where everyone's like, well, Pelicans, they pretty much stole that trade because of what they are, because of who they are now, right? Looking back, he's actually 5-1 straight up against his old team with the Lakers. But the last instance was a loss. So maybe it's trending in the other direction here because of just how good the Pelicans team is. To me, I'm actually, so two ways that I'm looking at this is, and it might sound crazy because I'm actually looking towards the under here. And it's crazy sounding because the Lakers play with the fastest pace in the league. But with that said, they're still 4-2 to the under so far this season. And here's why. They pretty much suck offensively. They're 29th in offensive rating and pretty much 29th and 30th in all shooting categories except for free throws. But their defense is really solid. They're the third best rated defense in the league right now. On the other side, Pelicans, they're a great offensive team. They maintain their offensive efficiency with or without Brandon Ingram in the lineup. But I think this Lakers team can actually match up well against them size-wise. So, but the key component here is going to be AD. If he plays, that's going to be a big component to whether or not I play this under. Their defensive rating, the Pelicans, without Brandon Ingram, is actually 7 points worse without him on the court than with him. The good thing about it is, like I mentioned earlier, the Lakers are one of the worst offensive teams in the league. So I'm not sure how much that is going to affect how much the Lakers can score today. From a side perspective, obviously the Lakers made a good adjustment there, putting Westbrook on the bench. It worked out. We'll see how well it goes moving forward. AD is already playing hurt though, and if he does play, maybe 75%, if that is what it sounds like, based off of some of the things that I'm reading. And when you look at like short lines like this, I think what you're trying to do right now is really who's going to win this game, right? Between the two teams here, so far this season, they've covered the games that they won, but they failed to cover the games that they lost. So we're asking who's going to win this game. And to me, I think that's going to be the Pelicans. With short lines like this, I like to look at like free throws and 3-pointers at the end of the game, kind of predict how the end of the game is going to be. If the Pelicans are up with 4 points by 4 points with like 30 seconds left. Can the Lakers make the threes to come back? Can the Pelicans make free throws? Like, to me, I don't think the Lakers are that team that can come back from behind, right? They're going to have to play with the lead. That's the type of team that they are, especially when they can't shoot 3-pointers or free throws. So that's the way that I'm looking from a side perspective. I think the Pelicans overall, they just have better chemistry, right? Better depth and better shooting. They have an advantage in all three of those aspects of the game. And to me, I would just lean towards the under and the Pelicans here. I'm not sure if it's going to be official plays or whatever, but definitely the status of AD is going to be a big component on whether or not I play those bets. Any last notes on that game before we get to best bets? Pelicans first quarter thoughts. Lakers are allergic to covering the first quarter, and Pelicans have some coming out the gate strong. Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that starting lineup is a big component to why the Lakers struggle, right? There's no chemistry with that team. But with that said, Westbrook moving to the bench kind of helps that. Does that affect how the Lakers do in the first quarter moving forward? What are your thoughts, Dr. Chuck?
It could. I think that is just one of a couple of moves that Darvin Ham is going to have to navigate. But as far as the first quarter, I don't have a good first quarter feel on this because of Anthony Davis yet again. But to your point, Ron, and for Cameron and whoever else is looking at the total on this, you mentioned the Lakers are a high paced team and just don't put the ball in the basket. And the last 3 times they've played, they've gone under against Pelicans. And if you get to a 230, it goes under by about an average of 10 points. And so that's almost like late game foul shot proof, which we don't have to worry as much about in the NBA because they pretty much think they can come back from any amount of points in under 10 seconds. It's not like the college game, luckily, where you always get overs in a 2-possession game with free throws. But yeah, I would not want to back the Lakers in the first quarter yet.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt?
For me, I'll be honest, Russell Westbrook doesn't move the needle for me in either way, just because he's one of the most inconsistent players in basketball. You know what I mean? Obviously, last game when he's doing his little dances and stuff like that, he's probably playing decent, But I've always said this, especially if I have, I play a lot of same game parlays. The one that I hit was that Lakers game. That plus 6,000 was the Lakers game. But when I play stuff like that and I have Russell Westbrook or anything like that, and I see him hit a 3, that's the worst thing you can possibly see as a Lakers fan. He's going to keep shooting, and he's going to keep bricking. And honestly, he's so inconsistent. Once again, it doesn't move the needle for me in either way because you don't know what you're going to get from him night in or night out. He's always going to be aggressive. But to Chuck's point, is he going to make the shots? Are the Lakers going to make the shots? So it is. I can't back the Lakers in any situation really right now. The only time that I did was against that Nuggets, and because he was so situational. It's just like everything led to the Lakers there. Even the worst teams are going to find a way to cover. They're going to find a way to win games. It happens. This is the NBA. They're the best players in the world. But I ain't backing them in the first quarter right now. I'll tell you that much. So, with the Anthony Davis news on top of that, it's just tough. Yeah.
It's tough. I would definitely, when you don't have a good feel for that first quarter or the starting lineups, especially after they just made a quick change already, I would definitely look towards the full game or the first half, not the first quarter. You kind of just see how well the Lakers do with this initial adjustment to that starting lineup. With that said, best bets are up. Let's start with you, Dr. Chuck. What's your best bet for today's show, and what do you have going on in the premium side here?
Yeah, so before we get to the best bet, we have obviously I have a couple of NBA plays that will be up. One is, and then the play that I'm going to talk about here is a play as well. As always, it's tennis. There's all kinds of tennis. There's 7 tennis tournaments going on right now, so there's all kinds of opportunity. The ATP Masters are happening in Paris, and that's the marquee tournament of the week. And we're picking up our hockey plays. We went 2-1 last night with our hockey card. And actually picking our places pretty, scarcely and using just system plays and only putting out the best stuff has behooved us at the beginning of the season. And we're like number 5 on the site at SportsMemo so far with NHL. So, all access or just NBA, we have historically done really well in NBA, and it's been really bad this season. So we're turning it around. And so when I do every day. And I bet Matt does this. And I think Ron likes props. I don't know if he likes them. I don't know if he loves them as much as I put more props out than I do sides and totals, to be honest. And what I like to do is DraftKings has the site where you don't have to click into the game. You can just hit points, rebounds, assists, and you can just go down the card. And I just like to circle right off the bat. Where are some spots where the guy might score that many points? And the spot that I'm looking at tonight is Reggie Jackson. The Clippers are a tricky team to figure out because similar to not knowing if AD is going to play tonight, how often is Kawhi going to get load management? How often is Paul George going to take a personal game off? And what is Ty Lue going to do with how deep his team is? Well, Reggie Jackson is pretty much he's in there every night. He doesn't take nights off. He's going to be the one, and he's going to play 30 plus minutes, and that's really regardless of the score. And he's had 2 bad games in a row. The last time just this season, he had 2 poor games in a row. He put up 18 points that next game. The situation in this to just get 20 in a combo is kind of nuts because immediately right off the bat, I put him at about 14, 6, and 4, which puts us almost an entire handful of combo above that, on top of the fact that the Rockets basically are the worst team playing against point guards so far this season. That they'll let the point guard do anything he wants. It's up to Reggie to get the easy buckets, find the open players, and for them to convert. And that's what I think will happen with Kawhi already announced out. A lot more shots to him, a lot more ball handling to him. And this should be pretty easy, to be honest. I think this should be pretty easy. And the reason that I'm putting this out as my best free play is I think he could score 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if he scores 20 points, he's going to get over that PRA pretty easily. I like that look a lot. I mean, I think there's going to have to make some adjustments here on that Clippers squad. I mean, I think they're not playing as well as a lot of us thought they were going to be. And I think that starts with that point guard position. We'll see how it goes today. I actually like looking towards the Clippers today from the side perspective. So I like that PRA. Moneyline Matt, what's up? What's your premium side look like, and what's your best bet today?
Yeah, so premium side right now, I have 1 NFL play up. I have 2 NBA play ups already for the day. And we've been very successful. NFL, NBA, I cover NFL, NBA, and UFC. Yes, you see I left UFC out because my UFC has not been very good so far. We are definitely trying to turn that around. But I think I have 8 losses on the year, and 5 of those losses have been by injury in the first round, or like guy tearing his ACL, guy coming in with a bum shoulder. So it is what it is. We're looking to bounce back. And like I said, last week, not a great NBA week. This week, we already covered that. We're 7-2, and I got 2 plays up, and I will be adding to this card going forward. Again, like Ron and I have talked about in the past, it's great to subscribe just for the due fact that a lot of this news comes fast. We're talking about Anthony Davis. Is he going to play? We're talking about other guys. When these guys get in, when they plug in, or when they're out, that's opportunity. That volume goes somewhere. That rebound opportunity per minute, assist opportunity per minute, all across the board. So it's quick. So again, definitely recommend that. And one thing I wanted to touch on too is, the best bet section has been on fire with this show. I went back and looked. The 5 best bets have hit, even going back all the way to the Desmond Bane assist, Bucks money line, which was a 5% play of mine that I gave on the show. We've been crushing it, and I'm looking to keep it going today. And I got a plus money play for you guys today. And we're going to go with Julius Randle, double against the Atlanta Hawks at plus 115. Okay, so this is a game that's going to be in New York, and this is a matchup that I am favoring Julius Randle because, 1, I see game flow. The Atlanta Hawks have been somewhat going to John Collins a little more. I did see the comment in the chat in regards to Clint Capella. And when I checked on those minutes in regards to Okongwu, they're kind of all over the place. There's not really a trend that you can follow if Okongwu is out in comparison to Clint Capella's minutes. So because of that, I'm still going to go with Julius Randle. And on top of that, Julius Randle is one of those guys where no matter what the lineup is, he can still get this double-double against the Atlanta Hawks. In addition to that, Julius Randle loves facing the Atlanta Hawks. In his past 10 matchups against the Atlanta Hawks, he's had a double-double in 7 of them. So hitting this at a 70% rate. He's coming off a bad game in his last outing with 15 points, 9 rebounds, was just not shooting good from the field. And again, I think this is going to be a great opportunity for him. Julius Randle and John Collins match up very well together. And then in addition to that, if Clint Capella does play, Mitchell Robinson will be matched up against him. And those are two just absolutely enormous human beings who are going to have to box each other out to the point where they allow other people to come in and get the rebound. So because of that, I really do like Julius Randle. In his career against the Atlanta Hawks, he's averaging 25 points and 10 rebounds. I think that he's an interesting PRA look as well. He just plays good against this Atlanta Hawks team. This is a plus money play, plus 115. He's averaging around 9 rebounds on the season, so I do expect that to maybe slowly increase. His career average is a little higher. So again, Julius Randle plus money play for a double-double. He's hitting at a 70% rate. I'll take that tonight.
I actually like that look a lot, Matt, because from a fantasy perspective, Atlanta is one of the easier matchups for power forwards. I think they're like second easiest from a fantasy perspective. And that's mainly from the points and rebounds perspective. So I love that double look there. Plus money too. That's just icing on the cake. For me on the premium side, I think a little bit of opposite of what Matt had was I had a really hot start to the season, pretty much flattened out since then, 8-8 in the last 16 plays. Like you can't get as flat as that. But I think some of those were really tough beats, especially yesterday. We had 2 double-digit fourth quarter leads kind of go the other way, end up losing them outright. So tough bounces, but I think in the long run, I trust my process. That's kind of gotten me to where I'm at as SportsMemo's all-time leader in the NBA. So for me, I'm not worried about it. It's a flat 16 games, whatever, a week or so. I think we're gonna come back strong after that. Today, I already have 5 plays up. I actually had 4 plays, and then I put one in during the show while we were talking. So I have 5 plays up right now. The Grizzlies game that I'm going to be talking about as my best bet, that is actually one of the premium plays. And in the NFL, I'm on a nice 14-5 run here throughout October. So seeing the NFL pretty well. That goes to show, just the whole package perspective, all access package is somewhere to go with some of us cappers here who do multiple sports. Like Dr. Chuck mentioned, he does a lot of tennis and all these other sports as well. So definitely take a look at those all access packages. Best bet today, going back to the one game that we talked earlier, Grizzlies versus Blazers. I think missing Lillard and Hart combined will be just too much for the Blazers to overcome here. Obviously, Lillard is the focal point of that offense. Just him being there sometimes gives Anthony and Jeremy Grant, the ability to play one-on-one with lesser defenders. They're not going to have that chance today. I think Hart is that guy also that plays a lot of winning basketball. Like I mentioned, he does a lot of the hustle plays. And then, on the defensive side of the ball, I think he's probably their best perimeter defender, and he rebounds well from his position. Just the overall lack of depth on the Blazers side without Lillard and Hart will be the key reason I think they lose and fail to cover this game. I think the Grizzlies should take care of business tonight. Like I said, I think -4.5 is still a decent number. I think if everything goes right as far as who we think is going to play and who's not, I think this line can get up to 5.5 to -6. So to me, Grizzlies -4.5 is my best bet for the show. That is it. All our best bets out. 3 games broken down from 3 of our best handicappers here at sportsmemo.com. Like I said earlier, too, the promo code, what is it? Sorry, promo code is, where is it? Dunk200. There you go. Dunk200. Get $200 off the entire NBA season from us here on the Sports Memo Triple Double Show panel this week. So head over to sportsmemo.com after the show. With that said, good luck on all your action. We'll see you guys on Friday. Good luck. Peace.